Have you ever noticed how some people treat respect like it's optional? They cut you off mid-sentence. They make passive-aggressive remarks. They act like your time, your feelings, even your presence is just extra. And maybe you've wondered, should I just smile and let it slide? But not today. Because today, you draw the line. If you're tired of tolerating subtle digs, crossed boundaries, and people who pretend your worth is negotiable, this is your moment. This video isn't about yelling or fighting back. It's about reclaiming your calm. It's about setting boundaries with strength, not rage. We're going to explore practical, powerful ways to handle disrespect without losing your cool, without losing yourself. So, if you're ready to stop shrinking for people who don't respect you, if you're done being polite at the expense of your peace, then this video is exactly what you've been waiting for. By the end of it, you won't just know how to respond. You'll feel ready. Ready to stand tall, to say less, but mean more. Let's begin. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. When someone disrespects you, whether it's a passive-aggressive jab, an eye roll, or a public humiliation, they're usually fishing for a reaction. They want to spark something, make you flinch, draw you into their storm. But imagine this. You just look at them, calm, still, completely silent. That's the silent stare. It might sound too simple to work, but trust me, it's disarming. This subtle pause, this steady gaze, it interrupts their script. Suddenly, they're the only one playing a game. I remember standing at a family gathering once where a relative kept tossing out criticism like candy. They mocked the food, the decorations, the people. Then came a comment aimed squarely at me. Old me would have fired back or nervously laughed it off. But this time, I just stared. No words, no flinch, just presence. And what happened? They stumbled, fumbled, grew uncomfortable. They backed off. The moment you stop reacting, you shift the power dynamic. You say, without a word, I see you, but I'm not coming down to your level. The silent stare does two things. First, it reflects the other person's behavior back at them, like a mirror they can't escape. Second, it reminds you deeply that your peace doesn't depend on anyone's approval. It's a posture of strength, not submission. We live in a world that expects quick comebacks, defensiveness, retaliation. But the real flex? Standing still in your own dignity. So next time someone crosses a line, try it. Pause. Meet their eyes. Say nothing. Let them sit in the silence they created. You'll be surprised how loud that silence can be, and how powerful you feel inside it. Silence isn't weakness. It's not surrender. It's power, in its purest form. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to explain yourself, argue back, or at least say something. Because silence, it feels vulnerable, exposed, like you're letting them win. But here's what most people miss. Silence doesn't mean they win. It means you choose not to play. In a world obsessed with noise and reaction, silence is rebellion. It's control. It's dignity wrapped in stillness. There was a friend I used to have, the kind who'd joke, but with edges. The kind of humor that poked where it hurt and laughed when it landed. One day, he said something way out of line. Old me would have defended, debated, maybe even laughed nervously. But that day, I just raised an eyebrow and said nothing. The silence between us became so loud he didn't know what to do with it. He looked around, fumbled, changed the subject, and eventually he stopped testing me altogether. That's the power of choosing silence. See, when you withhold your words, you protect your energy. You're telling them, I won't give you access to my peace. You let their comment echo in the space, and let them feel it alone. Silence can't be twisted. It can't be misquoted. And it gives nothing to people who want control. Most people who disrespect you don't deserve an audience. They want your reaction because it validates their drama. But silence? It starves their chaos. It returns their insult unopened. It also strengthens you. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you claim a piece of yourself back. You teach your nervous system that not every attack requires a response. That piece is worth more than pride. So here's your reminder. The next time someone throws shade, let the silence land like a stone. Let it sit. Let them stew in it. Because sometimes saying nothing is the loudest statement you'll ever make. Why did you quit that job? Why aren't you going to the party? Why didn't you do it the way they expected? Questions like these, they sound innocent, but often they're not about curiosity, they're about control. Here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to live your life. Not your family, not your friends, not that one coworker who always thinks they know better. And yet, we explain. We over-explain. We give entire speeches hoping for understanding, hoping they'll say, "Oh, I get it now." But they rarely do, because the truth is, they don't want to understand. They want to judge. They want to make you second-guess yourself. They want you to shrink so they can feel right. I remember the moment it changed for me. I left a stable career to pursue something I actually loved, something risky. The reactions were immediate. Why would you throw that away? At first, I gave reasons, long, careful ones. But the more I explained, the more people questioned me. Until one day, someone asked why. And I simply said, because I want to. No defense, no detail, just truth. Simple, direct, powerful. They blinked, went quiet, and never brought it up again. That's the gift of choosing not to explain. It shuts down the debate. It reminds people that your life isn't a community project. And when you stop explaining, something else happens too. You start trusting yourself more. You stop looking outward for permission. You realize, I don't need to justify what brings me peace. Here's what I've learned. People who need constant explanations from you usually aren't trying to support you. They're trying to shape you. And that's not love. That's control dressed up in conversation. So next time someone asks, why? Try saying, because it's right for me. Then let the silence speak for itself. You'll feel taller. You'll feel lighter. And best of all, you'll feel free. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. That's a truth most of us learn the hard way. We give people access out of habit, guilt, or history. We let them stay close even when they drain us, disrespect us, chip away at our peace, one passive jab at a time. But here's the reality. If someone constantly crosses your boundaries, mocks your choices, or leaves you emotionally bruised, you don't owe them proximity. You owe yourself peace. Keeping your distance isn't dramatic. It's not cruel. It's self-respect in motion. Think of your life like a private club. Not everyone gets a VIP pass, and those who repeatedly show they can't respect the space, they simply don't get to stay. I once had a friend who loved to criticize my work, my relationships, even my taste in music. At first, I shrugged it off, told myself, that's just their personality. But over time, I realized I was walking on eggshells, anticipating their judgment, editing myself around them. So I did something simple. I didn't make an announcement, I just created space. Instead of weekly meetups, I saw them monthly, then rarely. And you know what? I could breathe again. That space gave me perspective. I saw the dynamic for what it really was. Not friendship, but quiet erosion. And I realized I deserve people who fill me, not deplete me. You might hear voices saying, but they're family. But you've known them for years. And yes, those bonds matter. But they don't override your mental health. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It's essential. You are not anyone's emotional punch bag. You are not responsible for making others feel comfortable while you feel small. Sometimes the strongest boundary is silence. Other times, it's space. So here's the challenge. Look around. Who drains you more than they support you? Who dismisses your worth, even subtly? And now ask yourself, do they really deserve this much access to you? Have you ever felt someone trying to shrink you? Not with fists, but with words, looks, energy. That slow erosion of dignity. The sly remarks. The tone that makes you feel small, like you don't quite belong in the room. In those moments, the world might tell you, hold your head high. It sounds cliché, but it's not. It's armor. Because when someone tries to diminish you, what they really want is for you to agree with them, to drop your gaze, to fold into yourself. But when you don't, when you meet their disrespect with posture, presence, and poise, everything changes. Holding your head high is more than physical. It's psychological. It says, I see your attempt to reduce me, and I refuse. I once had to deal with someone who made a habit of belittling me in public. Always wrapped in a joke, always with a smile that didn't quite reach the eyes. At first, I'd laugh along, pretend it didn't sting, but deep down, it did. Then one day I walked in differently, back straight, shoulders strong, chin lifted. And when the jokes came, I didn't laugh. I didn't argue. I just smiled. That calm, quiet smile, and looked them right in the eye, as if to say, you don't get to shape how I see myself. And something shifted. They backed off. Not because I fought harder, but because I stood taller. People who thrive on disrespect often crumble in the presence of self-respect. They depend on your doubt. But when you hold your head high, you become untouchable. Not arrogant, just anchored. You remind yourself and the world that your worth isn't up for auction. So the next time someone tries to knock you down with a glance or a comment, don't flinch. Take a breath, straighten your spine, and rise. Because the moment you stand tall, you make it clear. I'm not playing small for your comfort. And that's not ego. That's truth. You've just explored 5 quiet, powerful ways to respond to disrespect. Not by raising your voice, but by raising your standard. You've seen that silence isn't surrender, distance isn't cruelty, and confidence isn't arrogance. Each choice, each still moment, is a signal to the world. I respect myself. But now, it's your turn to reflect. Where in your life have you been trading peace for politeness? What would shift if you simply stopped explaining, stopped reacting, and started standing still? If this video resonated with you, leave a comment below, share your story, or just write, "Respect starts with me." And if you found even a moment of truth in what you heard today, consider subscribing. Not just to this channel, but to the version of you that no longer accepts less than you deserve. Because in the end, a life well lived isn't loud. It's aligned.